Alrighty, everyone. Oh, this mannequin lost his textures again. Hello. Game, you have a problem with your textures. Hello. Or lighting or something. Maybe it's just light, actually. Maybe it's not the textures. It could be light. Anyways, we're at Baker Street.
I am in need of something.
We are, Watson right now. We are on the lookout for some pencils and other stuffs. Ooh. Oh, all the thingies. We have, oh, look at all this. There's lots of things that we have collected. Here we go. Lots of stuffs we need. We are working on, well, finding Jack the Ripper, obviously. We have worked on his appearance, and now we're working on where he is.
I am in need of something.
First of all, let's place our 4 murders on this map, as well as the spot where the graffito appeared, and the piece of apron was dropped.
Dutfield's yard. No. Dutfield's yard was... No, it was maybe Edo's. No, Mitre Square was Edo's. Goulston Street was that. Hanbury Street, that was... No. Honey Chapman. Smith Drive was there. And Bucks Row was Polly Nichols.
Perfect, Watson. Let's connect each crime scene to the one out of the others that is the furthest.
Okay. Actually, let's do like this. Maybe?
You see, Watson, the murders aren't grouped together, but seem to be spread out like cardinal points around a central zone. The killer obviously wanted to avoid returning to the previous scenes of his crimes, assuming that they would be more closely watched, or that he could be recognized.
So, the killer lives at the center of this cross?
In the vicinity, most certainly, but how near? We cannot afford to get it wrong. If you concentrate, Watson, you will notice that the murders are roughly equidistant from the intersection point of the diagonals. Let's focus on the night of the double murder. Remember, Watson, it took us 20 minutes to get from Dutfield's Yard to Mitre Square. Let's draw a line from one to the other.
Okay. Dutfield Yard to Mitre Square, here we go.
Perfect. We didn't make the trip as the crow flies, but that would not harm our estimate. Let's suppose the killer left Dutfield's Yard at 1 a.m. and arrived in Mitre Square at 1:35 a.m. when he was seen by the 2 Josephs. If he took 5 minutes to change his clothes, that leaves a range of 10 minutes to determine where this man's lodgings are. We must determine the area in which one can go from Dutfield's Yard to Mitre Square in less than half an hour. To do this, let's draw an ellipsis. The length between Dutfield's Yard and Mitre Square corresponds to 20 minutes. By adding half, we get a distance of 30 minutes. By taking the 2 right segments, each starting from the 2 murder scenes, and which the sum of the lengths makes 30 minutes, we get our ellipses.
Yes, of course. I'm not sure about this, Holmes. What am I doing? Okay. Whee! I know, I'm not even trying anymore. Okay, seriously. We want an ellipsis, yes? Excuse me? There's that. So we add... like that? I don't know, dude. I don't know. And add half. I don't know! Holmes, I have no idea. What am I doing? Holmes, help. Apparently it's not a dialogue. Or maybe it is. Let's draw an ellipsis. The length between Dutfield's Yard and Mitre Square by adding half to get a distance of 30 minutes by taking the two right segments, each starting from the two murder scenes. Oh, wait, do you mean like this? Is that what you're trying to do? I am confused. Nope. Nope, this is not what we want. Alright, let's try to do this. Trying to read from this stupid walkthrough. Okay, I've done that. And using the compass, which I cannot touch, so apparently it's this. Draw an ellipsis that covers Mitre Square and Dutfield's Yard. Okay, like that. Sort of. No? Wait. No. No. Maybe. Click the wood compass at the center of the green line connecting Mitre Square and Dutfield's Yard. Extend the line out to have these two places at the ends. This makes a yellow ellipsis. Yes, I've done that. And then we should use the metal compass on some other thing. So this is apparently not working. I have an ellipsis here. Mr. Holmes? And okay. So apparently that's not what I'm doing. Click the wood compass at the center of the green line connecting Mitre Square and Dutfield's Yard. Yep. This is Mitre Square, this is Dutfield's Yard. Extend the line out to have these two places at the ends. This makes a yellow ellipsis. I have 10 yellow ellipses. I can still not do this. Holmes? What the crap? Ta-da! Nope. Nope, this is apparently how you're supposed to do it. You're just gonna draw an ellipsis and just have these two inside. And Oh my god, what? Any indication, game, that I'm doing anything right? No, no, nope. Alright, let's just do a billion ellipses.
There we are, Watson. Our killer lives in this area.
It's still rather a vast area, Holmes.
Yes, indeed. And our goal is to reduce this area as much as we can. We must consider the fact that the murder at Mitre Square was committed under a certain amount of pressure, given that the killer knew he was wanted for the acts he committed not long before. We can assume that he had to do it in a safe zone, that is, an area not far from where he lives. This is especially true of an act such as the graffiti he carried out after 2 murders. Let's trace a circle around this point, with the distance separating it from Mitre Square as the radius. This will enable us to determine our killer's safe zone.
Random ellipse suddenly worked. Cool. So this one. Something like this? No? I'm just gonna make random circles until it's right.
Our killer must surely live inside this circle. Now, let's intersect it with the ellipsis that we previously determined. There we are, Watson, the Aldgate district.
Shouldn't we inform the police so that they can concentrate their efforts on this area of Whitechapel?
It is probably already crawling with inspectors, Watson, and I doubt that they would take us seriously, even if they were willing to listen to what we had to say. Let's focus instead on understanding the killer's modus operandi. We know our murderer preys on prostitutes who are penniless, weak, sick, or alcoholic, that he distracts them the moment before killing them, and that he left an anonymous message inciting anti-Semitic hatred at the entrance of a building occupied by Jews. How would you describe this man?
What a coward!
Indeed, he is a person of great cowardice. Let's look at his murders, and in particular, the depredations on the corpses, putting aside that of Liz Stride, because on that occasion his work was left unfinished. If we recall the observations made on the victims and the parts that were mutilated or damaged on each of the bodies, without forgetting the fact that he also removed 1 or more organs, we can ascertain that our killer evolves during the course of the murders, cowardly and still evolving. And yet, look at the location of our first murder, that of Polly Nichols in Bucks Row. It is the most distant from the area our killer would appear to live. Perhaps this murder was preceded by another within the killer's area. I believe a cowardly killer would commit his first murder in an area close to his home in order to find refuge as quickly as possible on carrying out the act.
Holmes, an idea just occurred to me that fills me with dread. This evolution of which you speak.
He will pursue his next victim as long as the conditions permit him to continue killing Watson.
But how could one go even further in this horror? Look at what he did to that woman, Catherine Eddowes.
In order to avoid having to answer that question, we must act with haste and planning. Watson, I suggest you inform yourself on the mutilations sustained by the victims. We played with the idea that this could be an act of vengeance against prostitutes. If the mutilations correspond to areas affected by a specific pathology, perhaps the killer wanted to give an eye for an affliction he felt the prostitutes he knew were responsible for.
And this trail leading to Dr. Tumblety, Holmes?
I also have a few things to look into in the meantime. I still have a primary witness to track down, not to mention old trails I've yet to pursue. See you soon, Watson. When we first spoke about the Bucks Row murder with Watson, he was reading a newspaper, The Star, dated September 1st, 1888, I believe, which mentioned similar murders in the preceding months. I have no chance of finding the police reports, but perhaps I could find some information at the Central News Agency. I must go there at once. Afterwards, I'll go back to see Abraham, the owner of the pet shop in Whitechapel. The second Joseph's statement would lead me to believe that he may know the man spotted on the corner of Church Passage that night. If that's the case, I must find this witness so I can question him.
All right. That was weird with circles, but hey, we made it. All right, Holmes. Dude, let's go. To news agency.
Ah, Bulling is there. It won't hurt just this once.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Bulling. So, did your colleague tell you about the tip?
What tip?
Ah, I see. I gave him an explosive tip and he went without you? Oh, that's not very sporting on his part. No doubt he took all of the credit for his discovery.
You're winding me up, eh?
I must show Bulling something to make him believe me.
What is this? I owe you. Oh.
What do you want?
I'm not winding you up. The proof is that he gave me this advance on the debt.
The traitor! He owes me, if I find him.
Before I leave, can you do me a favor?
Heck, tell me.
I'm looking for some reliable info on the murders committed in Whitechapel in the months before Polly Nichols' attack.
Reliable? Ha! You really think you'll find that here? Fine. I'll be honest with you. We have folders that group the dispatches from the current year into categories. In the police law category, you'll find the transcripts of the trials and investigations that we sell to the newspapers that ask us.
Perfect.
Sadly, I am out of time. I'll leave you to solve it, eh? You're the detective, aren't you?
Yes. I think so. Ooh, someone has a fan. Letter from a journalist. My dear George, your little brother has had some misfortune. My first week of work was very grueling. First, I was given a spot far from the stove, and I am very cold in the morning. Next, I have to sort through the dispatches, the most tedious and boring work imaginable. Once the work is done, I must take each envelope to the journalist in question, who won't even deign to look at me. Finally, at the end of my third day, the boss called me to his office to give me a sermon. It seems that I had mixed up the dispatches. I was so worn out that could only protest half-heartedly. He gave me a second chance. Now I am in a sticky situation. The only hopeful note comes from my colleague, Miss Filthin, a charming young woman who is the only one to give me a smile. She helps me as much as she can and tries to prompt me regarding which compartment I should put my dispatches. Because everyone here knows the order of the sections, but no one has bothered to tell me. The lady has so much compassion and slides me notes such as politics and society on the side, sports is underneath, economy, personalities is at the end of the row, front page news is the first compartment, etc. And these confidences are almost words of love from her mouth. I don't think that she likes placing the envelopes on the desks at all, because she ends up with some thanks. Very disturbing. I have volunteered for the task and watched everyone's displeasure. Nothing new concerning my landlady, but I managed to pay her for the week and she consented to keep me. Don't say anything about my troubles to Mumsy. I don't want to alarm her, but not wanting to lie to her, I have chosen to not write. Warmest regards to your brother Albert. Note in pencil. To improve the dispatch filing, propose major info up high except news in brief, minor info down low except police law. Thus, in future, propose also to invert news in brief, which is for the moment up high, and police law, which is actually down low. Furthermore, the weather section is almost always empty. Put it with news in brief. Okay. Letter to Fernand. Dear Fernand, I am confirming my presence on Friday evening at the club. It will be with pleasure, because I must get my mind off things or risk falling into a black depression. Just imagine, the new laddie still has the favors of Janet, but she'll end up forgetting him and giving in to me, because I am not lacking in ideas to get rid of her suitors. Yesterday I randomly placed a few inventions in science with politics dispatches. After all, they are always harebrained items. Given that the compartments are one on top of the other, it could have easily passed as one of the new lad's errors, and as anticipated, he was called in by the boss. As soon as I have the chance, I will show him how, like in the news, everything's in balance. He looks like a half-wit. He could easily confuse the politics with the society section on his right, and this latter with economy, which is his neighbor. What a lovely mess. I don't know how an intelligent girl like Janet can like a swot like him, but he doesn't have much longer to smile. Yeah, I can understand why she doesn't like you, though. Whoever wrote that note, because you were a jerk. Bill for repair. Stevenson and C Enterprises. Bill, repair the wood of the museum brief compartment, £1. Payment received 12th July 1888. Letter from the director. Sir, as the agency receives numerous dispatches, the filing system that you made appears to be too small, particularly for the world and society sections, which cover too much area and overflow into the boxes below. Police, law, and culture, respectively. Would you be able to furnish a device in order to keep only one filing cabinet? While awaiting your response, sir, please accept our best wishes, the assistant director. Okay, so we're picking up... Attention, the blue envelopes from the dispatch compartment contain confidential facts that must not be discussed in the news. As a reminder, they contain the political personalities, essentially the royal family, and economic issues. These dispatches will be retained only to be diffused when Buckingham Palace or the ministers give us the authority.
Closed.
Okay, I think we found most of the things.
The dossiers are full of papers in dated envelopes. I can't open them. That would be too obvious. How can I tell which compartment to look in? No categories are indicated.
Well... Alright, let's see here in our documents. Okay. So... Oh, wait, no, not there. I have to get pen and paper. Okay, here we go. We have politics and society are on the side. Sports underneath economy. Sports. Personalities. End of row. Front page. News. First compartment. Alright. Then we have note in pencil. Right now we have news in brief is right now up high, and police law is down low. Weather section is almost empty. Weather almost always empty. Okay. Then we have, let's see here, what did he say? He randomly placed a few inventions and science within politics. They are on top of each other. Inventions and science plus politics top of each other. He could easily confuse the politics with society section on his right, and this letter with economy, which is his neighbor. Politics with a society on his right. Does that mean society is politics and society on his right? Politics and society on his right. Oh wait, that corresponds with that politics and society are on the side. And the economy, which is its neighbor. Economy is neighbor of which one? Confuse the politics with the society section, and this latter with the economy. Okay. Society. No. Economy. Oh, neighbor of society. Yeah, and a bill for repairs. Okay, news in brief was just repaired. Brief shelf. Just repaired. Because there's a bill for it, so. Letter for the direct from the director. Let's see here. World Society. It overflows into the boxes below. World and Society. Up top. Overflows into boxes below. And those boxes are police, law, and culture. Then we have administrative note. Blue envelopes from the dispatch compartment contain confidential facts that must not be discussed in the news. Let's see here. Blue envelopes. Confidential facts that must not be discussed. They contain the political personalities, essentially the royal family, and economic issues. Political personalities and economical issues. Okay. So this one seems very empty, so that should be weather. And then we have politics and society are on the side. They're all to the right, and then we have economics. Now, world always overflows into those beneath. So maybe that one. No. Could be that one because we could have politics, economics, and society here. Politics, society, economy. Maybe? Not sure at all. Okay, sports is underneath economy. Economy has to be up top though. In that case, maybe that's sports. Personalities is at the end of a row, so personalities here somewhere. Front page news is the first compartment. I don't know what first means, but I'm presuming it's one of these two. News in brief is up high. Maybe that one. And then we have police, law, should be somewhere underneath the world. As well as cultures here somewhere. Weather's almost always empty. Inventions and science plus politics on top of each other. And maybe like this. Something's wrong. Oh wait, this is new. It looks like that should be news in brief. No. This is getting weird. Inventions and science and politics are underneath each other. This is under economy. There we go.
These envelopes contain dispatches of police and judicial cases. Now, I need to open them discreetly. I must try to unglue the openings.
Okay, unglue. Heat.
I need something. I need something. I need something. These envelopes contain dispatches of police.
Now here we go.
I need something. These envelopes contain...
Yes.
I need something.
Okay, Holmes, what is it you need? Here.
Water.
Aha. Do we combine that here? Nope.
I need something. I need something. I need something.
Okay. Oh, I did.
I
Throw
need
water on
something.
it.
These envelopes contain
Yes,
dispatches
yes,
of police.
yes. I heard you the first time, Holmes. Aha! Oh yeah, steam, of course.
There, that will provide me with steam.
There we go.
Open, and it looks like I'm in luck. This envelope contains precious information.
Testimony in the Smith affair. Day of inquest, Saturday, April 7th, 1888. Mr. Win E. Baxter, the East Middlesex coroner, held an inquiry on Saturday, 7th of April, at the London hospital respecting the death of Emma Elizabeth Smith, age 45, a widow, lately living at 18 George Street, Spitalfields, who, it was alleged, had been murdered. Chief Inspector West of the H Division of Police attended for the Commissioners of Police. Mrs. Mary Russell, deputy keeper of a common lodging house, stated that she had known the deceased for about 2 years. On the evening of Bank Holiday, 2nd of April, she left home at 7 o'clock, then returned about 4 or 5 the next morning in a dreadful state. Her face and head were much injured, one of her ears being nearly torn off. She told the witness that she had been set upon and robbed of all her money. Witness took her to the hospital, and when passing along Osborne Street, the deceased pointed out the spot where she was assaulted. She said there were 3 men, but she could not describe them. Mr. George Haslip, house surgeon, stated that when the deceased was admitted to the hospital, she had been drinking but was not intoxicated. She was bleeding from the head and ear and had other injuries of a revolting nature. Witness found that she was suffering from rupture of the peritoneum, which had been perforated by some blunt instrument used with great force. The deceased told him that at 1:30 that morning she was passing near Whitechapel Church, when she noticed some men coming towards her. She crossed the road to avoid them, but they followed, assaulted her, took all the money she had, and then committed the outrage. She was unable to say what kind of instrument was used, nor could she describe her assailants, except that she said that one was a youth of 19. Death ensued on Wednesday morning, 4th of April, through peritonitis set up by the injuries. Margaret Hayes, living at the same address as the deceased, deposed to seeing Mrs. Smith in company with a man at the corner of Ferrant Street and Burdett Road. The man was dressed in a dark suit and wore a white silk handkerchief round his neck. He was a medium height, but witness did not think she could identify him. Chief Inspector West, H Division, stated that he had no official information on the subject and was only aware of the case through the daily papers. He had questioned the constables on the beat, but none of them appeared to know anything about the matter. The coroner said that from the medical evidence, which must be true, it was clear that the woman had been barbarously murdered. It was impossible to imagine a more brutal and dastardly assault, and he thought the ends of justice would be better met by the jury recording their verdict at once than by adjourning to some future date in the hope of having more evidence brought before them. The jury returned a verdict of willful murder against some person or persons unknown. The police are making every possible inquiry into the case, but up to yesterday, 8th of April, had not any clue to the persons who committed the outrage. Testimony in the Tabram case. Last day of inquest, Thursday, August 23rd, 1888. Yesterday afternoon, 23rd of August, Mr. George Collier, the deputy coroner for Southeast Middlesex, resumed the inquiry at the Working Lads Institute, Whitechapel, into the circumstances attending the death of Martha Turner, or Tabram, a hawker, lately living at 4 Star Place, Star Street, Commercial Road, E, who was discovered early on the morning of Tuesday, the 7th, lying dead on the first floor landing of some model dwellings known as George Yard Buildings, Commercial Street, Spitalfields. When found, the woman presented a shocking appearance, there being 39 stab wounds on the body, some of them apparently having been inflicted with a bayonet. Alfred George Crow, cab driver, 35, George Yard Buildings, deposed that he got home at 3:30 on Tuesday morning. As he was passing the first floor landing, he saw a body lying on the ground. He took no notice, as he was accustomed to seeing people lying about there. He did not then know whether the person was alive or dead. He got up at 9:30, and when he went down the staircase, the body was not there. Witness heard no noise while he was in bed. Police Constable Thomas Barrett, 226H, said that the last witness called his attention to the body of the deceased. He sent for a doctor who pronounced life extinct. Dr. T.R. Killeen of 68 Brick Lane said that he was called to the deceased and found her dead. She had 39 stabs on the body. She had been dead some 3 hours. Her age was about 36, and the body was very well nourished. Witness had since made a post-mortem examination of the body. The left lung was penetrated in 5 places, and the right lung was penetrated in 2 places. The heart was penetrated in 1 place, and that would be sufficient to cause death. The liver was penetrated in 5 places, the spleen was penetrated in 2 places, and the stomach was penetrated in 6 places. The witness did not think all the wounds were inflicted with the same instrument. The wounds generally might have been inflicted by a knife, but such an instrument could not have inflicted one of the wounds, which went through the chest bone. His opinion was that one of the wounds was inflicted by some kind of dagger, and that all of them were caused during life. Henry Samuel Tabram, 6 River Terrace, East Greenwich, husband of the deceased woman, said he last saw her alive about 18 months ago in the Whitechapel Road. They had been separated for 13 years, owing to her drinking habits. She obtained a warrant against him. For some part of the time, witness allowed her 12 s a week, shillings maybe, but in consequence of her annoyance, he stopped this allowance 10 years ago, since which time he had made it ½ a crown a week, as he found she was living with a man. Henry Turner, a carpenter staying at the Working Men's Home, Commercial Street, Spitalfields, stated that he had been living with the woman Tabram as his wife for about 9 years. 2 or 3 weeks previously to the occurrence, he ceased to do so. Previously to this occurrence, he ceased to do so. He had left her on 2 or 3 occasions in consequence of her drinking habits, but they had come together again. He last saw her alive on Saturday, the 4th in Leadenhall Street. He then gave her 1 shilling 6 something to get some stock. When she had money, she spent it in drink. While living with the witness, deceased's usual time for coming home was about 11 o'clock. As far as he knew, she had no regular companion, and he did not know that she walked the streets. As a rule, he said, a man of sober habits, and when the deceased was sober, they usually got on well together. Mrs. Mary Bousfield, wife of a woodcutter, residing at 4 Star Place, Commercial Road, knew the deceased by the name of Turner. She was formerly a lodger in her house with the man Turner. Deceased would rather have a glass of ale than a cup of tea, but she was not a woman who got continually drunk, and she never brought home any companions with her. She left without giving notice and owed 2 weeks' rent. Mary Ann Connolly, Pearly Paul, who, at the suggestion of Inspector Reed, was cautioned in the usual manner before being sworn, stated she had been for the last 2 nights living at a lodging house in Dorset Street, Spitalfields. Witness was a single woman. She had known the woman Tabram for about 4 or 5 months. She knew her by the name of Emma. She last saw her alive on Bank Holiday night, when Witness was with her about 3/4 of an hour, and they separated at 11:45. Witness was with Tabram and 2 soldiers, 1 private and 1 corporal. She did not know what regiment they belonged to, but they had white bands around their caps. After they separated, Tabram went away with the private, and Witness accompanied the corporal up Angel Alley. There was no quarreling between any of them. Witness had been to the barracks to identify the soldiers, and the 2 men she picked out were, to the best of her belief, the men she and Tabram were with. The men at the Wellington barracks were paraded before Witness. One of the men picked out by Witness turned out not to be a corporal, but he had stripes on his arm. Detective Inspector Reed made a statement of the efforts made by the police to discover the perpetrator of the murder. Several persons had stated that they saw the deceased woman on the previous Sunday with a corporal, but when all the corporals and privates at the Tower and Wellington barracks were paraded before them, they failed to identify the man. Military authorities afforded every facility to the police. Pearly Paul picked up 2 men belonging to the Coldstream Guards at the Wellington Barracks. One of those men had 3 good conduct stripes, and he was proved beyond doubt to have been with his wife from 8 o'clock on the Monday night until 6 o'clock the following morning. The other man was also proved to have been in barracks at 5 minutes past 10 on bank holiday night. The police would be pleased if anyone would give them information on having seen anyone with the deceased on the night of bank holiday. The coroner, in summing up, said that the crime was one of the most brutal that had occurred for some years. For a poor defenseless woman to be outraged and stabbed in the manner which this woman had been was almost beyond belief. They could only come to the one conclusion, and that was that the deceased was brutally and cruelly murdered. The jury returned a verdict of willful murder against some person or persons unknown.
The information excludes the murder of the first woman, Miss Smith. Jack the Ripper can't be the author of that crime. On the other hand, there are enough similarities to suggest he may be the killer of Martha Tabram. I must go to the pet shop.
Alright, pet shop it is.
I must go to the pet shop.
You are at the pet shop.
Closed until further notice. Abraham isn't there. No luck.
Beep beep.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Do you know why Mr. Solomonovich's shop is closed?
No, I don't. Perhaps his cousin, the cobbler, knows. But I believe the police came to take his animals. I think that might have something to do with it.
When was this?
During the day. The kids you were with the other day were there, they told me. They just came by to ask for some cat's meat. They didn't have any money, but I gave them some anyway.
Is something wrong?
It's just that there was a little girl with them, the same age as mine. My little girl who went away with her mother, with the angels into the sky.
Dr. Watson told me about your loss. Please accept my condolences. Would you like to talk about it? How did it happen?
The illness, sir. My poor little girl was in agony, and her face and body were ravaged by the disease.
Her face?
Yes, she looked like a ghost.
What illness was it?
Dr. Gibbons tried to explain when I took my little girl to see him, but I didn't understand. I'm sure that he was trying to insinuate it was my fault. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I understand. Farewell. Let's go and see Dr. Gibbons.
Oh, he disappeared. Woot. Hey, Gibbons.
Hello, Doctor. Do you remember me? I'm Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson's friend.
Oh, yes. Excuse the mess, but I am doing a bit of tidying.
I have come to see you about a Mr. Hardyman, a cat food seller by trade who recently lost his daughter and wife.
Yes, I know him. A tragic story.
Actually, I was hoping you could tell me about the disease that took his daughter, a disease that would have attacked her face.
Well, to keep it short, we are speaking of syphilis, Mr. Holmes. You must certainly know that it is transmitted through intimate connections, and that the vast prostitute population here contributes to its inevitable progression. It destroys individuals by spreading through the body slowly. The most obvious symptoms can be found in the genitalia and on the face in the form of pustules or lesions. Sometimes this illness can destroy whole families. The father catches it from a prostitute, he transmits it to his wife, who in her turn passes it to the kids which she bears or nurses. These cases are numerous in the vicinity. Certain children, and this is the case of the little girl whom I won't name, suffer from an emaciation of the face which will, apart from predicting an imminent death, bring infamy upon the family.
Emaciation of the face?
Yes, what we sometimes call the pox. I will give you a photograph. One cannot be mistaken on the origin of such a face. The eyes seem to be void of lids, the nose is inexistent as if it was cut off, and the cheeks are chiselled as if cut with a knife. This loss of facial matter, this emaciation, is in this area often the gift from a father to his children.
Can I keep this photograph?
I should destroy it, but if it can remind you that one must sometimes think twice before giving in to physical attraction,
I always seem to find myself alone in such cases. Thank you, Doctor.
Photo of a child with an emaciated face. Yeah, I don't think Holmes doesn't seem to have a problem with that. Oh, really? From a father to his children. Okay.
Let's go to the cobbler's.
This is starting to, Oh, really now?
Hello, Mr. Solomonovich.
Ah, Mr. Holmes, how are things with you?
I heard your cousin Abraham had a problem with his shop. What happened?
If I didn't know you well, I would tell you that it's Jewish business that doesn't concern anyone but the Jews. But as you have a little bit to do with it, you have the right to know what is going on.
Ah, would I have something to do with it?
Someone had seen Abraham telling you something and making big gestures near the Imperial Club. A vicious rumor quickly spread, and it has caused him great injustice. A slanderous denunciation attracted the authorities' attention to my cousin's shop. Abraham must be in the process of answering their questions.
I did, indeed, speak with your cousin the other night. I'm shocked at the consequences of this discussion.
As I was saying, it's the story of the Jews. In the face of adversity, we are united, but amongst ourselves, it's like anywhere else. As soon as our people take a dislike to someone, for right or wrong, we can be without pity and quite cruel.
This is all very worrying. Your cousin knows one, or rather two, of the men who were at the Imperial Club on the night of the Mitre Square murder. One of the two, a butcher in Aldgate named Joseph, is probably withholding information of the utmost importance. I must find this man. Perhaps you can help me.
But there are dozens of Jewish butchers around Aldgate, half of which must be called Joseph. And you know, Mr. Holmes, we Jews prefer to remain in the background of this murderer business, this Jack the Ripper thing. All of London is pointing their fingers at us, saying, it's a Jew who disemboweled these women. Our community is in great peril, you know. There was the business with Lipsky and Leather Apron. I will see what I can do, but I don't promise anything.
I'd be extremely grateful to you. Very well. We may meet again, Mr. Solomonovich.
You are most welcome, Mr. Holmes.
I've paced up and down Whitechapel enough. I should return to Baker Street in order to reflect on the new facts that I have discovered.
We should indeed, but we'll return to Baker Street in the next episode. Thank y'all very much for watching, and I'll see ya.